All right, so this is a quick review on these three devices. We got the Synido TemplePad Z1 with RGB lighting. We got the SmartPad 2 by MIDI Plus. Comes with 8 rotary encoders, 8 buttons on every other side, 64 pads, RGB lighting. We got the Temu. This is where you can get it. Temu M-Wave SMC pad. Now I'm going to discuss each one and their qualities and their dysfunctions. All right, so as far as starting out, I'm going to start with this one. The pad quality on this is great. The sensitivity on this is great. The way it feels is great. You can do them quick, real quick. Those real quick kicks and stuff like that on this one right here. It's real good with that. This one is not so good with that. But this one has very sensitive functionality. Like I can barely tap it. Like watch. It's kicking already. I'm not even hitting it. I'm not even moving my finger up and down. You see what I'm saying? So it's sensitive. Whereas this one, I'm putting my finger on there with the same force and it's not doing anything. You see what I'm saying? So this one is velocity. I'm not going to say velocity sensitive because that's just the wrong terminology. Now, the velocity settings on here do trigger velocities at low velocities. But as far as velocity sensitivity goes and being able to have the functionality of changing different velocities and having a velocity button that changes the velocities the way you would like, I'm in disagreement with what's going on with the velocity. Now, if you drum pad drummer and you like to have that light soft sensitivity and you just want to have light up and down velocities going with the drums and your levels all over the place, then that's on you. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to explain that, I got to find a sample. See, I had to turn my samples up to a velocity on the software. It's called Tau Drum. I just turned the velocity up on my samples because if I would press one of these pads for the Synido TemplePad Z1, it would, like if I would barely press it, it would play a note that I didn't want it to play. And I had velocity layers on. And so I only wanted to play those samples when I switched it to a velocity mode that would actually play it on a lower velocity. And that's the way that you should have a velocity button set. Now on this device, you can set the velocity mode on preset 4 right here. Velocity mode 4. See if you can see that. Velocity mode 4. You have to hold the shift button in velocity mode 4 and it'll put it on 127 velocity. And if you hold the shift button in velocity 3, it'll go down to like 100, around 100 velocity. But not exactly at 100. It's a range of values of velocity. So, but with that functionality, I can go in and I can play different samples in velocity layers on a different velocity. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I like that better, because I can just go to the next velocity and I can play a different sample with the same pad. I can play a different sample, which means I have a bank. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why I like velocity layers, because you can have banks. You can use it to have banks if you use the velocity layers right. But your controller has to have that functionality in order to do that. And so the Synido TemplePad Z1 is not very velocity friendly when it comes to playing specific notes at a velocity that you want them to play it at. And also, you don't know what velocity setting you're on. That's the other thing. You press the button, but you don't know which velocity setting you're on. They could have at least put some RGB lights in there to let you know which color was active on the velocity light, to say if you're on this velocity curve, the color's red. If you're on this velocity curve, the color's blue. If you're on this velocity curve, the color is pink. whatever they could have did. They could have did that, but they didn't do that. So the buttons, the MIDI toggle buttons don't work good, but the momentary buttons work good in the digital audio workstation Reaper. They didn't work great. So you got to use the momentary button functionality for this controller. And for this controller, you can't even change anything because it doesn't come with software. That's the only downside with the MIDI Plus SmartPad 2. It does not come with software. Now, I was able to remap it with a software called Note Mapper. So keep this in mind. It's by code FN32. Code FN32 Note Mapper. Go look that up. And instead of going out and buying, Bohm MIDI translator, you can, and spending $70, you can buy this thing. You can get this thing for free, and not the controller, but you can get that software for free. Note Mapper software, and map the pads very quickly on the on the MIDI Plus SmartPad 2. Now, the other thing about using this in a different digital audio workstation is that the buttons have 3 toggles on them. So if you try to press a button that has a toggle state on it, it'll work for like one button. But if it's a 3 toggle state or a 4 toggle state, it'll go off cycle. It won't be on the right cycle for that actual toggle. So that's the other thing about this. I'm trying to figure out how I can get around using these buttons as regular buttons instead of having those 3 toggles on each button. But it works out pretty good. Now, the rotary encoders, they're great. The rotary encoders are on point. I give them that. The rotary encoders are on point. I like this. This is why I'm in love with this controller, because it has everything that you need as far as buttons, rotary encoders, and getting around in a digital audio workstation to use those buttons for, different actions or different macros. You see what I'm saying? The SMC pad by M-Wave is dope because it has 224 pads in each preset. And the reason why I say 224 pads is because the SMC Wave has a bank button. And on that bank button, if you go into the editor for the SMC pad, it will show you that you can add even more notes, MIDI notes, and you can actually name them and number them and put your own MIDI notes numbers in there in the editor app, and have a whole nother bank of 112 more pads. So there's 112 pads, but there's 112 more with the bank button on each preset. And so what I do is I put my drums on one pad bank, and then I'll put my 808s on another pad bank. I'll hit the pad bank button, and then I'll do my 808s. You see what I'm saying? So like that's one reason why I like the SMC pad. And the rotary encoders are dope. They work good. The latch functionality works. The note repeat works good. The only thing I didn't like about the note repeat was that kind of like this device right here, the M Audio Oxygen Pro Mini 32. When you use this, you have the ability to sequence your note repeats in a gated format. So when you press a pad, the note repeat is gated until you let go of the note repeat. But it's actually on latch mode. So it's latch mode, but you turn latch mode on, but it's gated. On this one, it's not gated when you turn latch mode on, and that's the downside. So that's the functionality that they screwed up with the SMC pad, was that when they did latch mode, they didn't let you just keep latch on, but press the pad, and when you let go of the pad, it goes off. You see what I'm saying? And when you press it again, it goes back on. Instead, when you press a pad and latch mode is on, it plays it continuously, just continuously in a loop. And if you press another pad, I think it still plays. It may go off if you press another pad, but I think it still goes off. I mean, I think it still plays. if you have it in latch mode. So that's that. And uh, the benefits of this controller is that you have different modes. You have custom mode, you have user mode, you have key mode. These are all mapped for different functionality. And you can switch these modes while you're in your digital audio workstation. So this mode has key functionality going all the way up on it. I have a drum sequencer open right now called Geist. And for me, I can't play keys right now. I mean, I can play keys. I can go switch to a track. Let's see what I can do. All right. So the scale. So you have the scales going across, and you have the notes that are in between the scales inside the middle part. And the blue light, the purple light indicates that each note of the scale. Each C note of the scale. So that's the key map, the key mode of the Synido Tempo Pad Z1. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, the hardness of these pads is not what you think. It's not good, bro. It should have been as soft as the pads on the MIDI Plus SmartPad. The MIDI Plus SmartPad and the SMC pad have good quality filling on the pads. It feels good, but I'm not gonna say that the SMC pad has good velocity sensitive pads. It has some issues with velocity sensitivity for the SMC pad. So keep that in mind. The SMC pad has velocity sensitivity issues, and people have to open the unit up and put 3M tape underneath the pads so that the pads can connect with the bottom of the unit so that it can react faster to the velocity strikes. Now, this one is on point with the velocity strikes. It's on point. But this one is good. Well, this one's on point with as far as the touch sensitivity. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about touch sensitivity. Because I need speed. Touch sensitivity on point. This one, touch sensitivity is the best touch sensitivity. Period. I can barely touch it and it'll play a note. It's soft. Now, I ain't gonna lie, it's soft, but it's hard. The top is soft, but when you press down on the pad, it's hard, and that's a problem. It gives you more durability for the controller to last longer, but that's a problem. It shouldn't be that hard. It's too hard. So it doesn't feel good, and that takes away from your, intuitive workflow as far as just how everything feels and how it's going. The other thing about the custom mode on the Synido Tempo Pad Z1 is that it doesn't have other ways to customize other modes. The only modes that you can customize is the custom mode. I think is the custom mode and easy mode, if I'm not mistaken. And there's two modes when you open up the companion software, and you can only use this mode to change the pads. This is the only mode that you can reconfigure the pads on. So if you wanted to use it in a different way, this is the only mode you can reconfigure the pads. Now I'm not using this for Ableton Live. I'm using both of these samplers. Both of these drum modules for just doing drum samples. I just want to play loops and samples. So this is all I want to use it for. I don't want to use it to trigger scenes and stuff like that, unless I'm going to use Ableton Live, but I'm not really looking forward to that. I just don't like the workflow in Ableton Live. But you got a mood button to change the mood of the velocity of the feel of your cadences. You can change the feel of your cadences with the mood button. these buttons up here change the scale. I mean the octave, and you have a transpose button up here also that goes up. You have an octave button that goes up. So once you go all the way up on the octave button, the only way to go down is to press these buttons. And if you go up on the transpose button, the only way to go down is to go back down with these buttons. You have MC commands. You have a record, a play, and a stop button. This light button is just for the RGB lights on the unit, and there's a switch on the left side. You see that switch down there right there? You can turn the lights off with that switch. And this unit, the MIDI Plus SmartPad 2, does not come with MIDI out. So if I wanted to connect a MIDI controller to it and play pads or chords, I can't do that with this controller. And that is the downside of the MIDI Plus SmartPad 2, which is not very smart because they did not put a MIDI out on this controller. But with this controller, I can put it in custom mode. It has a MIDI out on the back with a 1/8 inch 5 DIN MIDI out on the back. And the other thing about this controller is that you can't use different USB cables with to make this unit work. You have to use the cable that they sent with the unit. So do not lose your cable if you buy this unit. Do not lose your cable. You cannot, it does not work. I actually started mine up with a different cable because I wanted it to look nicer because I didn't want the orange look. I wanted it to be white and I didn't want that look. But it turns out that's the only cable you can use. So that's a heads up. I haven't really fooled with the RGB lights, but that's a complex thing too. And I know it is. But there's like 4 apps that they gave me when I started this, other than the companion software that came with the TempoPad Z1 that work on the lights and the change of the functionality of the lights. So it's a lot to that. I just didn't want to deal with it. But I'm sure if you want lights and do all that dope stuff, you can do that. Now you can change the configuration of the lights in the companion software. It's like this configuration is not what the configuration looks like on the companion software. So I did change my lights up. They don't look like they looked on the companion software. Now there is a light right here. This meter is not accurate. It's not like an accurate VU meter, but it just plays back sound. I mean, not play back sound, but it responds to audio sounds. So, but it's not real audio responses. You know, I'm just letting you know it's not like a real meter. It's just responding to audio sounds based on incremental volume levels. Now, what else we got? I just want to show you the buttons on the SMC pad. So you got a knob bank, you got a Bluetooth, you can connect it via Bluetooth. You got note repeat down there. To put it in latch mode, you would hold shift and that latch pad up there, and you would turn that's the craziest thing. That's how you turn it on manually without turning it on in the preset when you configure it. So let's say you turn the latch off, but you want to turn it back on, but you don't know how. You hold the shift button, the latch key button pad, and then you have to turn the latch knob right here at the same time while you're holding the shift button and the latch button down here, and then it'll turn the latch back on. So that's how you do that. Now, you got to swing and you got to rate. The rate changes the resolution of the note repeats. It's over here. All right, so once again, if you want to go up an octave, on the SMC pad, you hold the shift button and you press the octave pads up here at the top. They're octave pads. So you hold shift and you hold the octave pad. So you really have to have big enough hands to do this. If your hands aren't that big, you're gonna have some trouble trying to get around, trying to use this thing. Now, because you have to reach from here to here. I have big hands, but you have to reach from here to here. Now I don't know how big people's hands are, but that doesn't look like it's that far, but it's a reach. It's a reach. To me, it's a reach. I don't want to reach that far. I'd rather reach like right here or right there. Right there, right there. They should have put that octave buttons right here instead of putting the velocity up there. Put the octaves right there. No, they should have put the preset buttons at the top, and they should have put the octave buttons and the velocity buttons at the bottom, because that's important. You're going to use velocity and octaves more than you're going to use the presets. Presets are going to be used at a time period when you're trying to switch different applications and different VSTIs and different, clap softwares and different things out there. So, that's pretty much it, man. You got the presets. You just hold the shift button and the preset, and then it'll turn it on. Turn on a different preset. Once again, 224 pads on each preset, whereas these only have 64 pads and no banks. Neither one of these have banks. The SMC pad wins out of all three of these. I'm gonna tell you why. Because it has banks. That's why it wins. It only looks like it has 16 pads, but it has 224 pads. It wins. It has banks. As far as sensitivity and as far as build quality, the hardware quality, I'm going with the Meaty Plus SmartPad for the hardware quality, because this hardware quality was spectacle. It was suspect for the fact that they didn't put good quality on the pad sensitivity. But other than that, it's a decent controller, man. Once you put that 3M tape in there, you're gonna be on your way. Don't even worry about it. And it's so cheap, it's worth it. Now this one was cheap. I got this one for like $38, and I got this one for $100. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it does not come with as much good as functionality as this one does. This one has good functionality. So, well, I'm not gonna say it has good functionality, but it has good features. It has great features. This one doesn't have as many great features as this one because it doesn't have any knobs. It doesn't have any buttons that you can use your own way. Why would you have a custom mode if you don't have a custom custom buttons to use? That is foolish. So they had a custom mode, and they did all that programming and scripting so that you can put your pads, so you can change the configuration of the pads, but they didn't even put no buttons on the unit so that you can use your own buttons. And the buttons can't be remapped to different MIDI CCs and stuff like that. I think you can change them based on note for, like, if you're gonna try to change the record button or the play button or the stop button. Yeah, you can change those note numbers and those CC numbers. But if you want to use them for other functionality and create a CC or that you can use for something else, it's not gonna work, buddy. So, and like, let's say if you want to use that up and down button to do something like go from track to track, you can't use that to go track to track. So this is the downside of the Synido tempo pad, but it has good features as far as the lighting and as far as the keys and the drums, but you can't use those. You can use those modes, but you can't really do anything with those modes because everything is not in sequence. Now I'm going to show you the way a pad should be set up. A pad layout should be set up. It should be set up like going this way and do a Z. Go back to this side. Go back to this side. That's the way the layout should be set up for drum pad. If you're going to create a MIDI controller, that's the way the layout needs to be. If you're going to create a MIDI controller for 64 pads that's not going to be triggering scenes, then it needs to go up the scale to 64 in that order, in that way. Starting from note 36, that's the note you should be starting from. Now, when you go into these apps and you look at the pad layouts for the Synido Tempo Pad Z1, you're going to be shocked that these pads are mapped crazy. Like, these pads are mapped all out of order. They're all out of whack. But you just have to go in there in the companion app software and number all these pads all the way up to 64 from 36. So you would start from 36 here and go all the way up 37, 38, 39 and start from there. for most software. Like if you're using Geist, or if you're using Tau Drum, or if you're using Battery 4, you want to go from 36 all the way up. Yeah. Now keep in mind, if you're using the MIDI Plus SmartPad and you having some trouble with mapping the pads, to get Note Mapper by FN32. Don't forget that. Note Mapper by FN32 is free and it's easier than using Bone MIDI Translator, and it doesn't cost you anything. So don't worry about it, man. Don't be going out spending money on stuff you don't need to spend your money on. Get the MIDI Note Mapper. The Note Mapper plugin by code FN32. All right, man. That sums up this video, man. Another controller I want y'all to check out is the Axiom Pro 49. I know it's old, but to be honest, it's still a boss. So don't sleep on the Axiom Pro 49. It's making moves, and it has AS2 commands, and it's still doing its thing. So don't sleep on the Axiom 49. If you want to go get a new MIDI controller, don't waste your money on a new MIDI controller if it costs more than $150. Don't waste your money on that. Go get the Axiom Pro 49, save yourself some money, and have a better controller. This controller was worth $600 when it released. If it's worth $150 now, you're getting a bargain. So don't sell yourself short. Get the Axiom Pro 49 if you can. But that sums up this video. Let me know what you think. You got any questions? Leave them in the comments. Deuces.